let it be Double RT, ready, talk boxing show with me, your host, Mr. A. Thank you for that time and support. Welcome to the Boxing Junkie, the Boxing Rehab, I should say. You see what we're going to talk about today right here. Quadrillo taking on Luis Collazo and becoming victorious. On the back half of the show, we're going to talk about Beterbiev right now. Now, this performance here by Quadrillo, Earl Spence IBF mandatory. If you listen to the breakdown, the questions I wanted and what we talked about in the fight kind of occurred to the T. Luis Collazo pressure put Abdukakhorov on the back foot, and as we discussed it, he is a good back foot 1-2. He could punch well on the back foot, punch well on the move. Now the questions we had was, will he be able to get off the ropes once the pressure of Luis Collazo got him there? And we saw that he was able to spin off pretty well for the most part, if not the whole fight. I only had him losing one round out of 10. And I also predicted, even though this would probably be the hardest fight of his career, he was going to win with a lopsided victory. I thought it was a 12-round fight, so we discussed there was going to be like a 9-3 victory. Ends up being a 9-1. Now ESPN reported, and they were talking during the fight, it was a torn bicep or something, bicep cramp with Luis Collazo. He stayed in the fight, so hey, he got lost 9-1 on my card. Now, in the fight, I still have questions about Quadrillo. Like I said, if you're new to the show and you're just jumping on for the first time, or already familiar with it, you know, big fans of Quadrillo on the show. We've been talking about him since season 1 of the Double RT Box Show. We are now in season 4. Thank you for following. Thank you for supporting. Hit that thumbs up. Now, like I said in the breakdown, he has not developed into the pressure fighter I thought he was. The one they were talking about during the fight, Tim Bradley and Andre Ward, because obviously, and them going back and doing film studies, they saw the same fights I saw when he was 12-0, 13-0. He was a body punching, come forward, more of a come forward guy. And I think it was ever since he fought, what's the guy's name? I want to say it's something with his name was something with a T and an M, like the African black dude. Ever since he fought that guy, he kind of became more of this moving puncher. Now, I thought when he was doing it, I gave him the pass. Like, okay, that dude was previously fighting at middleweight. He's coming down. He's much bigger and heavier than Quadrillo. So Quadrillo's moving and sticking on him. But since that fight, the body punching, that was really, to me, I thought it was going to be his signature during those things. That's what they kept talking about it during the press conference. During the fight. It wasn't there. Now, again, Luis Collazo was bringing heavy pressure, so maybe it was best strategy for him to move and stick and pop, sitting still, plant his feet for body shots would have been what Luis Collazo wanted, an opportunity to exchange. Because you saw Luis Collazo was digging some exchanging body shots in there, and on the Punisher, as you can see the picture says, Punisher. And like I said, he's definitely a 1-2. He's a distance fighter, just like we discussed in the breakdown. He boxed on the back foot, distanced himself. He never really got smothered in work, spun off the ropes, controlled the whole fight of every aspect you could see. Now, the other question I always, like I said, during the breakdown, we just said, like, okay, there's questions I need to answer. I wanted to see, could he fight a whole fight on the back foot? I seen him do it in spurts and rounds here and there, take some rounds off. But he fought this whole fight comfortably on the back foot for the most part. And I say for the most part because at moments, well, like I said, I seen him take rounds off and do this back foot fighting. Luis Collazo had him on the back foot and that I wanted to see. And he still, like I said, he takes rounds off because I think he has a small little stamina problem. He seems, because for the way he fights on the movement and throwing punches, it was like the Jared Hurst syndrome. You throw so many punches, you're gonna get tired and you start leaning over. He takes rounds off by doing his back foot. So it was interesting to see him, and glad to see, as a fan of him able to do it. But I still think he has a stamina problem. And reading the article on Boxing Scene, like he said, hey, the fight wasn't what I thought it was. It made me better. I gotta train harder. Hopefully he fixes that, because I think for him to be, because he's not gonna have any. Well, I'm not gonna say he's not gonna have any. He will not be given much of a shot against Errol Spence. And for him to have a shot against Errol Spence, to me, he's going to need a stamina. Because for him to even attempt this type of movement against Errol Spence is going to throw that body work. So I think he's going to need more stamina, and he's going to have to rely on some type of body attack like his previously early in his career. Because just if his shots kept Luis Collazo just going, Luis Collazo was kind of walking through him. Now it's walking through him, but you know what? It wasn't stopping Luis Collazo. I don't think it's going to stop Errol Spence, given what Sean Porter was hitting him with. So Quatrillo is going to have to have a hell of a fight training camp and a hell of a fight game plan to beat Errol Spence. But other than that, this fight with Luis Collazo was, I thought it was a really good. Patient stuck to the game plan. The feet work was good. The leg work was good. The punch selection was good. Now, up top, you should say the punch selection was good. Like I said, the body work was missing almost completely in this fight. Again, you could say didn't want to exchange with Luis Collazo. Played it safe and got the points. Like I said, he looked a little winded here and there. And like I said, I've previously seen that in some previous fights. That's the concern. Other than that, good fight. Good fight. Now, as for the main event of the evening, again, we said Beterbiev we picked him to win it because out of all the action, it would be his action that you remember most and would do the work. Like I said, Gvozdyk was moving, looking great, picking and popping, but you don't really remember too many shots. Like he buzzed Beterbiev, I think, around. You can't remember the round, but you remember he buzzed him. But you remember Arthur landing, pressuring him, being rough with elbows, throwing him down. You remember everything Arthur was doing. Then you remember the heavy shots. Then you remember Arthur adding body work. And you remember Gvozdyk slowly wildering, breaking down. You can see everything. You can see everything Beterbiev was doing, whether it's mentally, physically. Gvozdyk, you just saw moving, popping. And that's what we said. All right, here on the Double RT Boxing Show, the Ready Talk Boxing Show. Your boxing rehab. You're a junkie. You like minimum weights. You like bantamweights. You like heavyweights. Right now, you're liking light heavyweight. Excuse me. You can see Gvozdyk just slowly. He went from a strategy to slowly feeling doubt, and then the power crept in, and it was over. You saw him. You saw his face expressions change. You saw the body work do mass difference in the way this fight turned out. And what I noticed Beterbiev does effectively, if he knows he's not gonna, it's Mr. A's thoughts. It's my opinion, and I think he does it. I think he plans it. I think he does it purposely. When he knows a punch ain't gonna land where the target he was, he'll purposely rub that forearm against the back of your head or club you. He doesn't club you hard, but he clubs you to the point where you've been hit with something, to the point where the referee can't really, like he said, he got a little warning, like, hey, don't hit too much behind the head. He wasn't clubbing him hard, but he was touching him, and those touches started to wear Gvozdyk down. For all those right hands that was getting, like I said, Gvozdyk was able to get inside a lot of those punches, but those punches, the fact that they went over him, a lot of the inside wrist of the glove would hit him. Like I said, I think Beterbiev was aiming some of those, knowing that they were going to miss, and he took the chance of taking the risk of getting worn. Sometimes he didn't, and he didn't. So Beterbiev, he didn't. To me, he didn't really. I thought he was going to do more footwork. I thought he would have to. To me, I didn't say more. I thought he was going to have a harder time tracking Gvozdyk down. And to me, he did it. He did it pretty well. He didn't have to follow too much. He actually, I thought, did a good job of cutting the ring off on him, forced Gvozdyk. Like I said, against Stevenson, like I said, when we picked the prediction for this fight, we chose to decide off their championship bouts. And Gvozdyk, and we said the only way Gvozdyk could win this fight was to move and pick and pop, just like Eric Kulin. Yeah, not the same fighter, but the strategy's the same. And you saw Kulin wore down, and that's what Gvozdyk did. Like I said, he couldn't have the power of the nail with that much movement, just like he couldn't really do it against Adonis Stevenson. He lucked out that Adonis was 40 years old. Adonis was tagging him and winning that fight, and doing the same thing Beterbiev was doing. It's just Beterbiev is not 40. So off that, we went with Arthur, and it played out just like that, with all the movement and the offense that I can't think of his name now. Gvozdyk, out of all the offense and punches he had to throw just to keep the distance, the real estate, all them punches, all that movement, his own energy, his own offensive game plan was his doing in. Now, it was the only game plan that could work for him, but with him being hit, I should say, that played a big part of it. As of course, it just, he couldn't get the power he normally has as the nail due to all that movement and the power of Beterbiev. So in the 10th round, dropping him 3 times, or the 11th round, I think it was, it just finally all caught up. The energy being used, the power of Beterbiev, the legs being worn out, the body shots, it all wore out. Good fight, because I had to fight about. It was going back and forth. It was. Beterbiev started to take over around round 7 or 8 on my scorecard, but up until like the 6th round, I had a tie fight. 7th round, I think I had it as a toss-up, but in the 8th round, I remember 8th and 9th, I just started giving Beterbiev. I think he started controlling the fight. So overall, these were two good fights. Beterbiev and Gvozdyk played out exactly how I thought it would do. Can't wait to see. Oh, excuse me. I can't wait to see if Bivol gets opportunity to get at Beterbiev. But until then, I am very intrigued by the mandatory shot of Filong Meng. I would like to see that fight. Knowing Meng has a slender frame, I'm not expecting him to take the shots of Beterbiev too well, whether on top or down low. But I will be very interested in the movement of Meng and the 1-2 of him, because Beterbiev, he can be hit. It's just that pressure and power, and my opinion, those aiming of those wrist clubs, it wears people out. Thank you for your time and support. The Double RT, the Ready Talk Boxing Show, the Boxing Rehab for us junkies, bantamweights, featherweights, lightweights, cruiserweights, light heavyweights, heavy, whatever it is your fix is. Our doors are open. Come on in. The Double RT Boxing Show.